everyone, Bonnie English here. You may have seen in one of my recent videos when I was touring Bavaria and the Austrian Alps that I got a flat tyre and I had to do an emergency repair at the side of the road. Can you believe it? 2 weeks later, when I was touring France, I got another one. But anyway, I'm back home now and I thought I would show you how I carry out my emergency repairs. I'm Bonnie English. Today I'm covering emergency tyre repairs for a motorbike. So what equipment do we need to carry out a puncture repair? Well, before my trip to Bavaria and Austria, I purchased a Ballard's repair kit. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but I found it fantastic and it saved me when I was on the trip. Inside this repair kit are a number of items. The first one is a T-bar. This is a reaming tool. Another T-bar, which is the insertion tool. I have a set of rubber plugs, a little tube of rubber cement, a little bottle here which has some detergent, and I add water to this before I leave on my trip, a small blade, a CO2 inflation canister, and also a tyre pressure gauge. Now, what's not included in the kit but came in super handy on my trip, I thoroughly recommend you having these, is a multi-tool with some needle nose pliers and a screwdriver, and also a pump. So it's really important to know what type of tyre you have before you can carry out your repair. The type of repair I'm going to show you today can only be done on tubeless tyres. If you're not sure what type of tyre you have, you can check on the side wall of your tyre and it will show you. So I'm not going to go punching holes in the tyres of strawberries and cream here just for demonstration purposes. So today the trailer tyre gets it. So when you're working on your tyre, when it's actually on the bike, it is important to use the centre stand if you have one, to make sure that you have your keys out of the ignition to prevent it accidentally starting, and to drop your bike into first gear. That way, when you're working on the tyre, it won't roll, and also it will prevent you from accidentally knocking your bike off the stand. So the first thing that you need to do is to locate the injury on the tyre. Now, you might be lucky and it could be obvious, like in this case, a screw is stuck into the tyre. However, when I was on the side of the road near Innsbruck, it was a little bit harder to find, so I had to try and get really close down to the tyre to try and listen for air escaping. Now, if you still can't find the injury, this is where your detergent and water comes in handy. You can give the tyre a quick squirt all over, but in this case you can see that near the screw there are bubbles escaping, and that indicates that that's where your injury is. So if there's a nail stuck in your tyre, this is where the needle nose pliers come in handy, and you can simply wrench the nail out of the tyre. If, like this one, it's a screw, and this is what I had in France as well, then clearly you just need to use the screwdriver to unscrew the screw. So next we're going to use the reaming tool. Now, the reaming tool's job is to expand the injury to make sure that there is enough width to insert the rubber plug. Now, the tyre is made up of rubber, and then through the rubber is the steel ply. You simply will not get the rubber plug into the injury without first using the reaming tool. Another top tip: if the object is still sticking out of the tyre, take note of the angle in which it went in. This way, when you take it out and insert your reaming tool, it will make life easier for you. So the next thing I'm going to do is to insert my reaming tool into the tyre. Now this can be a little bit tough at first, but I'm going to give it a go to demonstrate. Once it's in, you agitate it up and down. I'm not very strong, so this could take a little while, just to get a nice clean hole, like so. Once I've made a nice clean hole in the tyre, I will then remove the reaming tool. The next job is to insert the rubber plug into the insertion tool, like so. Pull it through. It's a bit of a messy job, this one, until it's about halfway. So your next job is to grab your rubber cement and just put a little blob on the leading edge. I think most of mine just went on the floor, onto the leading edge of the rubber plug. Place your insertion tool at the same angle that your reaming tool was at and push the insertion tool in until the rubber plug is roughly 1 centimetre poking out. So the motorcycle insertion tool was definitely not man enough for the job. As you know, for demonstration purposes, I'm using a truck tyre. So I'm going to use a truck insertion tool to demonstrate pushing the rubber plug into the tyre. So after a few seconds of grunting and groaning, sound familiar, I managed to plug the hole, and as you can see, there's roughly 1 centimetre or 2 still sticking out. So then I need to pull out the insertion tool, leaving the plug behind in the tyre. So next, using your blade, you need to trim off the excess rubber plug so it is flush with the tyre. Like so. And obviously repeat for the other section. So we're almost there. The last job will be to get some air into your tyre, because you'll more than likely have lost most or all of it during that time. So you have your sparky bottle in your repair kit. Really, this will only get your tyre up to roughly 10 psi. It might be enough to limp you to the nearest service station. However, before my trip, I bought one of these pumps and I fitted an ancillary socket, which worked wonderfully when I got my flat tyre. So now, the moment of truth. I've pumped up my truck demonstration tyre. The next thing I'm going to do is to repeat the squirting process to see if there is any air escaping from the tyre. If we see bubbles, we know that we haven't repaired properly, but as you can see, this tyre is now repaired. So I'm done. This type of repair saw me through the rest of my holiday, but please note it is classed as a temporary repair and needs to be treated as such. There are many repair systems out there. This is one of many. If you're interested in finding out more, please follow Ryan49, who goes through the different techniques and different repair systems. In the meantime, I'm Bonnie English. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like or subscribe.